So today I wanted to do something very unique for my channel, which is to share an NDE experience from a 1-year-old child. By now the person is an adult, but they claim to have a story of them experiencing a near-death experience when they were just 1 year old. So that's pretty fascinating to say the least, because most of us, if not everyone, can't really recall anything from that age, but this person claims they do. Now this story is from the Near Death Experience Research Foundation. I'll have a link in the description box below, because the part that I'll be narrating just goes over the experience of the person, but afterwards they ask the person also a bunch of questions concerning their experience itself that you might find interesting to read for yourself. But let's go over this information and then you can just think about it for yourself, what you think of it, whether you've had this experience yourself. If you did, let us know in the comment section below. And other than that, it can again show us some interesting powers concerning consciousness itself that is actually possible and available to all of us on a non-physical level, on a much broader scale than the physical realm that we normally perceive. So let's begin. It starts out by saying, I was 1 year old and fell from the metal climbing structure at the playground. All my life I have regarded this very unique experience as my very first memory. It is my oldest memory, and yet it is very vivid. I don't remember the events leading to my experience, but I remember the experience very vividly. I was not unconscious, but I would rather describe it as being super conscious. It felt as if I perceived it through a mature consciousness, mind, or awareness, rather than the toddler brain. I don't remember how I fell, but I remember I felt absolutely no pain, nor did I feel the impact with the ground. It is hard to explain, but it felt as if I was levitated upwards, but somehow knew my body was on the ground. Up above me I saw this beautiful, warm, gentle, yet bright white light. The light had depth to it as it was the brightest in the center, but there was also a spectrum of very beautiful and gentle colors. It was somewhat similar to the sun, but our eyes see the sun as a white, flat circle that is painful to look at. This light did not look flat, nor did it hurt my eyes to look at it. In that moment, it felt as if time had stopped or just didn't exist. I felt that the light was protecting me and nothing could ever reach me or harm me in its presence. I felt super calm and loved. It wasn't like the love between humans, which involves various different emotions. This love was unconditional and serene. I was levitating towards the light. At the same time, I had knowledge that I was dead. I did not have a word for the concept of death. I had this strong perception that my life had ended and I was returning to where I originated from. I saw my life on Earth as a split second and a tiny fraction of what I was supposed to live. I thought to myself the equivalent of, was that it? No, this cannot be it. At that moment I had a clear understanding of who I was on a fundamental level. I'm not talking about earthly attributes like gender, race or ethnicity. I'm talking about the spirit me, for lack of a better term. I wasn't a human form, nor did I have an age, I just was. For the sake of explaining this experience, I am writing everything in linear order. However, all of this happened simultaneously. It is hard to explain. I saw a preview of the life I was meant to live. It all made sense, but I don't remember the details. I had a choice to either go towards the light and enter right through it, but I would have not been able to return. As pleasant as this place was, I wanted to continue my earthly life. I was supposed to become someone and was aware that I hadn't even started this yet. As per my wishes, I returned. Then the light started to fade and I saw two men walk towards the jungle gym. I initially saw them from the perspective of an observer on the side. A moment later, I was looking at them from the perspective of my body, which was on the ground. The one man was my father and the other one was a family friend. Oddly enough, I could tell that they weren't too worried, but they felt a bit guilty. Although a toddler, I could understand just how young they both were. They seemed as just boys to me, although they were in their late 20s and early 30s. I was conscious when my father picked me up, but after that, all my memories fade. I do not remember anything after that until I was a bit older. The experience felt as if I awoke for a short moment from toddler consciousness, but then fell asleep for lack of a better term, into toddler consciousness again. Later on, when I was about 3 years old, I started experiencing dreams. The dreams were a unique experience for me. All of a sudden, I remembered the moment I saw the light as a memory of its own category. It was neither a dream nor a waking moment memory. It was as real and even more real than real. I didn't know what to do with the memory, but knew that somehow I would ask about it when the time was right. As I was growing up, I didn't think much about death, but I have always known about it, despite the fact that people assume children are not aware of this reality. For many years, I didn't know what the experience meant. I could not understand why I had such a clear understanding at that age, but had early toddler memories from the following years. This became increasingly confusing to me, and as time passed, I developed this belief that I must have been reincarnated. If I had been an older child who had died and was reincarnated, that would have explained the chronological issue. I had started to doubt that maybe I got the part about the man confused, and maybe that was my father from another life. I was determined that one day I would figure out who fell, and if a child indeed died after falling at the playground. I am now 34 years old. Only last year I had decided to ask my mother if she remembers the event. I described it and named the people who I thought were there. She confirmed the event and said that I had fallen and hit my head. On Earth this would have amounted to seconds. Yet I felt as if I was out for an unmeasurable amount of time. What I witnessed and experienced does not match in duration to the duration of me falling and being picked up. I received the confirmation that it was me who fell and that I wasn't reincarnated. I don't talk about the experience much because I find that people just don't get it or they get frightened by it. They hold on to their limited, materialistic view and try to explain my experience as an optical illusion. To that extent, I understand them because they can't possibly imagine it. I know it is not an optical illusion. I am, however, very willing to share with people who are open-minded enough to listen. And that was the end of the letter she wrote about her experience. Now we on this channel are open-minded enough to consider this because this is what I actually talk about all the time. The ability of leaving your body, of consciousness not being completely permanently tied to the physical self. That's what's going on here, in my opinion, from my point of view. To me, these stories are absolutely fascinating because they're on another level than just lucid dreams, where I would make the claims from experience that yes, I have been aware when I was in another dimension of the universe, for, again, lack of a better word we could say, indeed. So what happens here is a giant mystery at the same time, but absolutely fascinating because it shows us that there's way more to us than meets the eye. There's way more to life than meets the physical eyes that we have. And as long as we contemplate that, the better off we'll be in facing the challenges we might have physically speaking as well, because we know that they are not what they seem to be. They may be absolutely horrifying and terrifying, but at the end of the day, they're just one tiny spectrum of something much larger. And it's this larger part of ourselves that we really want to understand. And NDEs, as they call them, near-death experiences, really make a viewpoint, a light on this subject from a fascinating angle. Again, that's just my opinion. Perhaps you agree with that, maybe you disagree, but feel free to let in the comment section below your thoughts. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you've had a near-death experience yourself, because I would love to hear about it, and I'm sure some of the viewers would love to hear and read about it as well. So maybe over time I'll share more NDEs if I can, and if people are interested in that, we'll see. But this one I just wanted to share because it was absolutely beautiful in a way. Now with that being said, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And never forget, dear viewer, that we are the dreamers.